Hey guys, so today I want to talk to you guys about cystic fibrosis. Yes, I already made a YouTube video about this back in like 2012. So I was really young, it was really awkward. I'll keep it up if you really want to watch it, it's really cringy. So this is just an updated version, it's a less awkward version, hopefully. More accurate also. So first I'm going to talk to you about what cystic fibrosis is, and all the numbers and the science behind it, and then hopefully, if I have time, I'm going to talk to you about the personal aspect of CF and what it really is and what the doctors and the papers and the numbers won't be able to tell you. So, first of all, the kind of script that I have is that cystic fibrosis is a genetic, life-threatening lung disease that I suffer from. About 30,000 people in the U.S. have CF, and about 10 million more people than that in the U.S. are carriers of the gene, and it's a recessive trait. Two people have to have it. Total, about 70,000 people in the world have cystic fibrosis, and about 1,000 people every year get diagnosed with CF. A lot of the times, recently, now people are diagnosed at infancy. It used not be the case, but now with more technology and more awareness of the disease and what it is and the signs and symptoms, we catch it earlier, we can treat earlier, and that's part of the reason why there's been so much success in fighting the disease and extending the lifespan of it. So exactly what cystic fibrosis is, it's a lung disease mainly, primarily, where there's extra thick mucus that builds up in the lungs, and the pancreas and other organs too, but like I said, it's primarily a lung disease. And, I've heard it's, 15 times worse than asthma or something like that. And let's see. If you want to simulate what having CF is like and what it's like to breathe with CF, I've been told that if you get just like a drinking straw, just a regular straw, and you plug your nose and breathe just through the straw for about a minute, that's what it feels like to breathe with like a CF person's lungs. And it's weird because a lot of people tell me that they really struggle with breathing through a straw for a minute. And they're like, how can you do that all the time? But for me, it's not hard anymore. Because I've been doing it for 20 years. I breathe through a straw all my life. That's all I do is 24/7 for 20 years. I've been doing that. And so you just get used to it. And it's just how it feels. It's not hard for me because that's just what it is. So I do encourage you to try it though, just to get a feel for what it is, what it's like, and just so you can understand a little bit better. In order to increase my lung function, and my airway clearance, I do these things called vest treatments. I just call them treatments. 3 or 4 of them a day, depending on my schedule. But I always do at least 3. And so what it is, I'll show you a brief demonstration here. I put on this blue vest, and then I strap it on, and I'll hook it up to a machine. And essentially what it does is it'll constrict around my chest, it'll tighten up, and then it'll shake me. Let's see here, I'll connect to the machine. And then it'll essentially shakes the mucus loose from my lungs. And I also do a nebulizer with it, and I put like clear medicine, or liquid medicine in here, and a hose hooks up to this. And it like vaporizes the medicine so I can breathe it in while I'm doing my treatment. And that'll physically expand my airways. So then I can just breathe more, breathe deeper, and hopefully cough up more mucus. And so I'll show you what it like looks and sounds like. So here you can see it's kind of inflating. It's starting to shake. Don't worry, I'm not going to sit here for half an hour and just do it and stare at you guys. But I just want to show you guys what it looks like and what it sounds like. And there's, it's for half an hour. And when you get closer to the end, it actually goes faster and it's even louder, just to really get all the mucus out, as much as possible at least. So that is my treatment. Additionally, in order to get the most out of my lungs and to help with airway clearance, I will do antibiotics from time to time. Usually it's oral antibiotics, but sometimes I'm also on IV antibiotics. I'm actually on IV antibiotics right now. I was just in the hospital for a 4-week hospitalization. It was one of the longest hospitalizations I've ever had. And so I'm actually hooked up to, well, I'm not hooked up right now, but I have an IV in. That's my port. A lot of people who have ports, you might have heard of a port before. It's a portacath. A lot of people who have them are actually cancer patients. They use them for chemotherapy, but it's really nice and effective to have a port because you don't need a new IV and a new poke every time you need to get antibiotics. You just a small little poke and it's already in there, and then you can hook up to antibiotics right away. So what antibiotics do is they help fight infections in the blood and then in the lungs. And so that's why I only usually get antibiotics when I'm extra sick, when I have infections, just to increase my lung function even more. Additionally, with cystic fibrosis, it's extremely hard to gain weight by myself. So in order to gain weight, I will have to take enzymes. And they look like this here. They're digestive enzymes. I take 6 of those with every meal. And that just helps me digest the food properly and get the proper nutrients, because my body just can't do that on its own. The pancreas is also filled with mucus, and a lot of my organs are, and so my body just can't function properly on its own. And so we have medicine like enzymes to help me do that. I also have a feeding tube, and this is pretty common in a lot of different types of patients, not just cystic fibrosis, but it looks like that. And that's, it's overnight feedings. So I hook it up to a machine overnight, and it's just supplemental. It's not like my primary source of food or eating. I can eat orally, but overnight it just pumps basically extra calories into me so I can gain extra weight, because again, I just can't do it enough on my own. I can't keep the nutrients and gain the weight I need. I also have cystic fibrosis related diabetes. And so it's not like type 1 or type 2. Well, it's similar to type 1. My body just doesn't produce enough insulin for the amount of carbs I take in. And so every time I eat, I need to make sure I take insulin. And so I have an insulin pump. I have 3 things on my stomach right now: my port, my pump, and my feeding tube. And with the insulin pump, again, that's affected by cystic fibrosis. My diabetes is because my body just can't produce insulin due to the mucus and due to the failure of my organs. And so that's relatively new to me, but I'm getting it down. It's getting easier, especially with the pump. And the thing is, all 3 of these things, my diabetes, my weight, and my lungs, all affect each other. So the interesting thing is, if my weight goes down, my lung function will go down too, because it actually takes physical calories. I mean, it takes physical exertion to breathe. And so my body just uses calories and its energy to breathe, because it's so hard to breathe the CF. And so if I'm extra sick, if my lungs aren't working, my weight will go down. If my weight's already down, then my lung function will go down, because it doesn't have the energy it needs to maintain healthy lungs. The diabetes plays into that, because if my blood sugars go up, if I don't take my insulin as I need to, then I won't keep the nutrients and digest the food properly, and then again my weight will go down, and therefore my lung functions will go down, and it all just plays into each other. And so I can't just shove one to a side and say, okay, I'll really focus on this, because I need to focus it all together. Otherwise it just goes downhill from there if one thing goes down. So one other thing about cystic fibrosis that's probably the scariest thing for me is the life expectancy. It's about 40 years. And however, this is actually pretty good considering, relatively recently, within the past 20 or 30 years, it was only about 5 years old. You were lucky to get past, kindergarten or first grade. We just didn't recognize it as soon. We didn't have the technology or the medicines that we have today. And so it went from, 5 or 6 to 40, which is great. And it's still increasing. We're getting new medicines all the time. And actually, there's a relatively new medicine called Orkambi that I've started about 2 or 3 years ago now. And ever since that medicine came out, about 2 or 3 years, a whole wave of new medicines are coming out. More research is being done. They've kind of unlocked the one gene that they needed to unlock. They have the stepping stone that they're going off of now to get even closer to a cure. However, I do want to make sure that you understand there is no cure for cystic fibrosis, and the life expectancy is still 40. Even though it's hopeful and there are new medicines coming out and there is more research, it's still pretty terrible. and I just hope I can live long enough to be a grandpa, you know. And so that's where it comes to the personal aspect of it. It's really hard to live knowing that you kind of have a clock ticking. Of course, we all do. You know, we all are gonna die. That's no secret. But to know that you're gonna be cut in half, your life expectancy is cut in half compared to everybody else's, is really hard to live with. I actually saw my sister Anna pass away at 23 from cystic fibrosis. I mean, her life expectancy was cut in a quarter of what it was. You know, she was supposed to live till 40. She only lived till 23. Like, that's crazy. And I'm 20, so that's really scary. And I know that just because she died at 23 doesn't mean I will, but it also means I won't. It doesn't mean I won't. And it's something I always have to keep in the back of my mind, that I gotta live now. And that's the nice thing about cystic fibrosis, is it's really taught me how to live meaningfully. I live carefree, not careless, but carefree. And I think there's a big distinction there. I just, you know, I don't stress about anything. I don't care if I don't get that homework assignment turned in. I don't care if I don't make six figures in my job that I might get. I don't care if I'm going to be a cashier at Cub Foods for the rest of my life. You know, to me, it doesn't matter. To me, I want to do everything I like to do. I want to get married, hopefully have kids. I want to play ultimate frisbee. I want to ride my bike. I want to read. I want to write. You know, I want to do something that I like to do, not something that, you know, I feel like I have to do. I just don't think that's making the most of your life. I don't think anybody should live like that they need to get this job and they need to turn in their homework at this time. And, you know, it's not worth stressing about, because with CF or without CF, you could die tomorrow. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter our circumstances. Who knows what could happen? I think cystic fibrosis has really helped me realize that you know, you just gotta live for today. And I do like that about myself, and I like that about cystic fibrosis. Having CF affects every part of my life. It affects the social aspect. It affects the physical aspect, the mental aspect. You know, living like you know you're gonna die at 40, that messes up your mind. You know what I mean? Like I said, you know, I'm positive about it. I'm happy and I'm stress free, but it's still in the back of my mind. I saw my sister die at 23. So it's just something you have to think about, and it's depressing, and a lot of stuff, you know, goes on behind the curtains, what you guys don't see. There's some pretty dark stuff. And socially, it's really hard to make friends. And maybe that's just my personality. I don't. Maybe it's not the cystic fibrosis, but you know, I'm in the hospital for 4 weeks. I have to be, when I'm not in the hospital, I'm in my room doing treatments, and I have all these things on my stomach. That's weird. It's weird to go to the beach. People look at me and stare at me. You know, I'm always coughing, so everyone's like, "Oh, you're sick. I don't want to be by you." I have to wear a mask when I'm outside. It's, you know, I have to go to the bathroom a lot because of my diabetes. There's all these little things you don't even think about, and everyone's like, "Well, why do you do that?" It's like, "Well, I have CF," and they always think I'm blaming my CF, but that's not really the case. But it's true. That is the case. It's always my CF. My CF affects every little thing, and people think it's weird. People don't like that. However, as I've gotten to college, a lot more people, that's changed, I think. I'm just looking for the right people. I know what to look for. I'm hanging around the right people. But I don't know, people are more welcoming about it, more accepting of it, more understanding of it. And I think that's why I'm also making this video, is to just spread the awareness, tell you what it's like, tell you what it is, even if you haven't even heard of it. So I just want to thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for trying to understand. I encourage you to share this video. I encourage you to check out my blog. I'll post a link either in the description or on the screen here. However, I don't know how to do that yet, but because there in my blog I also post just about my life with CF and how it affects specific situations. Like, you know, one of them is I take holiday breaks, so why can't CF? You know, I'm away from school, I'm away from homework, I don't have to stress about that. Can't I just relax? And the answer is no, I can't, because CF is a 24/7 disease. I always have to be on my game. I always have to think of every little thing I have to be doing. And so it's hard. And I depict that in my blog, and I have a lot of other blogs on there. And I encourage you guys to read it. I encourage you guys to share that. Please share this video. Tell your friends about it. And I don't know, if you feel so inclined, donate to the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. While I'm making this video, we're very close to the Climb for a Cure, which is an annual fundraiser we do in Minneapolis, where we climb the 50 flights of the IDS Tower for a fundraiser for CF. I know that's a really specific reference for this video. You know, hopefully this video will last a couple years and you'll be watching it in August or whatever. And so that might not be relevant now, but you can always donate to the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, cff.org. And if you feel so inclined. So I just want to thank you for watching this. And we CF people have a saying that we always like to say is, you know, we hope that one day CF doesn't stand for cystic fibrosis, but for cure found. So thank you.